Coach, prayers up.
Thank you.
On a lighter note, from a purely talent standpoint, how does this bunch that you think defensively you're going to put out compare to last year? And how does it compare to your great Oklahoma and Clemson
Yeah,
defense?
and I know this is, I'm gonna go somewhere that you wish I didn't, but I don't love comparing those units, for lots of different reasons. It doesn't serve anybody well, but I do think that I think that we're in a better position to play at a better level, at a higher level, at a more consistent level, at a more physical level. And there's lots of reasons. We do have some experience returning, and so I think those guys returning are better, and more confident, more sure of themselves. They're, better in the weight room. They're better in the X's and the O's. They're better leaders. They're more comfortable. And so I expect all the returning guys to be better. That's the more you play, the longer you've been doing it, usually the better you get. And so there's that expectation. And then again, I think we've helped ourselves through recruiting, both in high school and the portal. And again, the test of time will tell. But we got a lot of work to do to be good, let alone elite. And so you mentioned the elite defenses of Oklahoma and the elite defenses of Clemson. We got a lot of work to do, a lot. And but our guys are putting the work in, and we'll be there if they keep their their head down, and us as a staff continue to be honest with ourselves and find ways to constantly get better. We got to have humility and the right kind of vision as well as the leaders and the coaches, and then believe in, again, what it takes, how to develop guys, how to teach them and coach them, and bring out the best in them. That's what a coach, is charged to do. But in regards to comparing, it doesn't do me any good. I'm Captain Obvious, and we're not there. And but I do expect us to be, much improved. If that shows up on a stat sheet, great. But I want to be, again, I want a humble football team. I want to run football. I want to play great defense. And until you can say those things, we're not anywhere, close to, where we need to be yet. And but believe in the guys and the work that they've put in over the last, 6-7 months, and the improvements that we made, and both in scheme and in our development.
Brandon Jones.
So I talked to Coach Bates earlier, and he was talking about Dejon Terry and just how he lives up here, always studying film, always working out. Can you talk about just some of the mentality that he's brought to the team and what we can expect from him during the 2023 season?
Well, it's one of the qualities I fell in love with him, the first time I spoke to him, and then every conversation, it was more of the same. And for me, connecting and having somebody that, even if you're faking it, you think like I want you to think. You're hungry, you're driven, you're ambitious, you're humble, you're tough, great focus, you're a guy that's about to work. And man, every conversation I had, and every question, well beyond the field, I just wanted to find out who he was as a human being, as a leader, as a young person chasing his dreams, as a teammate. That was important to me as well, and to us. And then we haven't done a whole lot yet on the field with him, but he got all the other stuff right from a transition standpoint. And again, being a summer guy, you don't have he doesn't have a resume with us yet, when it comes to the playing and the improvement and all that kind of stuff. So, but he's all those things I just said, and that fits the mold of what we want. And again, to me, his focus and his toughness and his ambition will make that group better. I want that group to be the backbone of our football team. And it starts with attitude and love and passion for the game and the toughness that position has to represent. And and so we had some growing up to do at that position, in my opinion, when we got here. And we're making progress and developing guys, and we're still under construction. And I'll be honest, for as long as I'm the coach at Oklahoma, we'll always be under construction. It ain't ever good enough, and there's always ways to improve and get better. And I want guys that are in love with that process. That you really, it's, when you hold that trophy up, that's a very anticlimactic moment. And the real, measure in life-lasting memories are everything you had to overcome, everything that you had to fight through, the difficulties and the challenges along the way. That's relationships, that's what it's about to me. And to have guys that are running towards that hunger and that inability to be satisfied. I mean, that's what I want, no matter what, man. They see you eye to eye. And we're getting more and more guys that have that. And I do believe you can develop that, but I think you have to have some natural and intrinsic values, that's part of your belief system, whether you knew it or not before you came.
You betcha.
What do you think you know about your group going into camp? What are you confident in, and what are you still trying to maybe sort out or figure out about your group?
Well, we're stronger. I think we're faster. I think Coach Smith's done an unbelievable job this offseason. We're more confident because there's another year in the system. The last year at times there was a lot of, the thing you'll learn about players and people in general is a lot of times they'll tell you they know what you're talking about, but it's only through trial and error and experience that they learn what they really do and don't know. And you in the same, you think you've explained it in a way maybe, but what I see a lot more now is that we're able to move through our install a lot quicker because those guys have been in a lot of those scenarios. You're not having to go back and start from ground one, so to speak. So I think experience, as far as just in the defense, is the biggest thing that I've seen. When we signal in the defense, it's like, okay, they're not like, well, what is that? So.
Who's made the biggest jumps for you from the spring to now? I know you're getting into camp and you're going to figure out all the serious jumps, but who impressed you throughout the spring?
Man, there's that core group. We had a couple guys that had some injuries that they were dealing with, but Billy, Key, Peyton, Justin, Reggie. These are all guys that taken a lot of reps this spring, and at times, you can obviously tell Billy's a lot more comfortable. He's getting the call, getting lined up and playing. I see Key's doing the same thing. A lot of stuff still new for Reggie, but he looks a lot more comfortable going into camp than he did the first of spring. And then Peyton, you forget that he's a true freshman. I think that his football IQ is something that's really impressed me. It's a lot put on him, and he's got natural ball instincts, and as you saw the interception and stuff like that, he's able to process and has a good feel for this defense in general.
What kind of dynamic does Reggie add to the room? Obviously, we know we can hit. We saw that with Dylan. He knows that, but
Yeah.
other than that,
Well, the biggest thing is like we've talked about, is a guy that's played a lot of snaps in a lot of games. He's not going to be somebody that the moment's too big for. A lot of times crowds are screaming and it's 31-30 and you get the call and just being able to play with a quiet mind and a clear mind and being able to look and see the formation, know the tendencies, see what you're about to, defense, great defensive, players, it's about anticipation. And that comes from experience. And so he does a really good job of seeing the field and knowing where he's at on the field and, playing off other people's mannerisms and that's been the biggest thing for him. It's just saw a lot of live bullets in his life.
yeah, one of those guys that was banged up in the spring with RSJ. Just how big is the fall for him with that in mind?
Yeah, it's huge. The guy played as a true freshman, and has loads of talent. Somebody that, people don't realize didn't play a lot of DB in high school. Really transitioned to the position late, so still learning that side of the ball. But he's really smart. He's a great person, and I think he's going to have just a really good future here. I love the kid to death and love everything that he's about. He's really steady, and just good thing about camp, man, is you just get inundated with so much information that it's kind of like you take this crash course, and then all of a sudden the season starts, and a lot of the stuff you don't use, but you've been exposed to it. You know what I mean? And so when you come back to it the next time around, you don't have to start out with what does that mean? You've already been in that position. So
I think a lot of people can look at Peyton on the field and just see how talented he is, but behind the scenes, just what are some things that the outside world doesn't see about him that really impresses you?
he had a 3.5 GP, 3.5 GPA, 3.54. Had, I think, one of the highest GPAs in our room as a safety on scholarship. You know, his sister passed away this spring, and he does a really good job of being there. He's a great uncle, man. He's just a good person. He's very humble, down to earth, it just, you know, what's funny is you know, he's got other things outside of football he enjoys doing, and that's what makes being a coach fun, because you see the human side of people, and he's a good dude, man. He's a good person.
What kind of luxury is it to have guys like Billy and Key back? Been here for, this will be the third.
Along those lines, a guy like Marcus, Jeff mentioned him earlier, is, you know, he was productive and had some success last year before he got injured. What's the key for someone like him who's been around the program, you know, with some of the injuries he's had, just keeping him healthy?
I think that's the biggest thing, keeping him healthy. You know, Marcus has been around for a while. You know, just athletically, you know, probably one of the best on the team. You know, he's a special kid, great kid, works his tail off, but I've been prone to, you know, future and freak accidents, you know, when it comes to the injury department. But again, you gotta, you know, just stay in that training room. But again, he's a veteran player that, you know, hadn't played a lot of football, but he's been around for a while. And he's done some good things on the field. So we need to just keep him healthy, and you know, if he's healthy, we'll be happy at the end of the season.
What do you expect from guys like Barnes and Salcho this year? Another year under the belt going for you.
Just more of a vocal presence, you know. And again, I know as a freshman, it's a little hard to do that at times, but I think those guys have earned the respect of their peers. You know, just the way that they go about their business, how they work, how they conduct themselves. That, you know, and if you step out of their comfort zones a little bit and be a little bit more vocal, but more importantly, you know, they got to produce. You know, that's the name of the game.
You guys welcomed in a transfer from Washington. What have you seen from him this offseason?
Yeah, Mecca's been good. You know, again, he's another guy that's been, you know, banged up a little bit. And, you know, coming out of high school, he's been a really good player to have for us. Great kid, and again, just excited to obviously, you know, get him out there and fill some opportunities.
We chatted this time last year about what Eric Ray had as a pass catcher, and then you mentioned that Brox. Do you see anyone in your group right now projects in a similar way to him?
Eric was unique in his style of play. You know, so we have a bunch of guys who can catch the ball just like him. You know, I think a guy that kind of comes to mind first off the top of my head is Dalen. He's very natural in catching the ball, really good route runner, smooth, but just, you know, those are things you got to work on. And again, we got a young group, but you know, group that's hungry and ready to be coached.
Well, talking about Eric, obviously.
Coach, how about that position opposite Woody? Because it seems like you got a lot of guys there, some at different levels, but you know, potential is there. How do you keep them happy, and how do you make that work?
Once again, no Trump, no Biden, no politics. Best guy gonna play. Press play. That's all you gotta do. You just press play.
I'll vote for that.
Yeah, that's it. Touche. I like that. To me, it's just honesty and keeping it real with the guys and giving everybody equal opportunity to go play. And then once again, you know, just separate yourself in the football field, in the classroom, in meetings. Are you talking loud? Are you understanding your keys? Are you answering like this? Are you slouching? I want to see how detailed you are right now. And I think one thing B always says is, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So if you're up in the meeting room and you're talking loud with your chest and you have the mindset to go be great and you're intense with everything you do and you're sitting on the edge of your chair, guess what, on the field, you'll be doing the same thing. Walkthroughs, you do the same thing. Game day, you're going to do the same thing, right? It's who you are on a daily basis. So seeing that from the guys on a daily basis and who they are and the passion they have in their chest is going to be everything. So it's a non-stop. Even for Woody. Woody got to compete for it, too. This ain't, once again, I love Woody. Woody's been phenomenal. He's going to be a leader, but this is not an enabling society. This is straight dictatorship in my room. You got to empower him. So Woody, you want to be great? Go be great. I challenge Woody more than any other guy in the room. You know, he's an old guy. He could be sitting back like this, but Woody has to be challenged. You want to be great? You want to be different? You want to be that guy, you know, that everybody was talking 2 years ago. He's good here, solid there. Just be a guy or be a dude. And Woody wants to be a dude, so I'm going to challenge him. I told him right to his face, and he's ready for the fight. So he's excited to say.
Back to Josiah McCart. What's the biggest challenge for those freshmen in their first camp?
Yeah, I still think, once again, you've been here earlier. You're not a freshman. You know, I'm not a freshman. I'm a sophomore ready to roll. If you tell yourself a freshman, you can play like a freshman. You know what I mean? If I say I'm a sophomore ready to roll, I'm going to play like a sophomore ready to roll. And so that's the thing I keep just kind of tweaking their mindset is, I'm not here to be an average guy or be a young guy. I'm here to go play ball. And if you go play ball like that, well, watch how you play. So when I played at Wisconsin, same thought process I had. I'm not here thinking like, oh man, this guy's older, that guy's older. I'm thinking, go run through that guy's face, and that's it. See a little, see a lot, go play fast. So for me, those two guys, they have all the ability in the world. It's just if they go to the mindset like that and go be aggressive, go attack, they'll be great.
How do you feel about your depth now versus a year ago versus 7 months ago?
Yeah, I love the guys we had last year, but I think we have a lot of depth. CJ Colden obviously is going to be a big miss. CJ's growth throughout the season is what I use every single day as a testimony for the guys, because the guys literally changed the way he studied, literally changed the way he worked, and literally had 5 picks, 1 got called back in 5 games. And having a guy like that, I use an example for all the guys, because we have guys who are more athletic or right there, but I think CJ was just so detailed and so aggressive, and he's convicted in who he was. Every single game, you knew he was going to make a play. And for him and Woody, especially, and Jay Davis to a bit too, and Gentry, beginning of the year, you're thinking, okay, what happens? All right, ball's coming the way, because I don't think they were like that yet. But towards the end of the season, I was praying for the ball to get thrown at him. I want to see what happens, because those guys are making a lot of plays on the ball the last 4 or 5 games. So using that, pushing it forward, is got to be everything for our group in the room.
What did a season with CJ teach you about development, coaching his position, all that?
It was old dog new tricks is a lie. He really humbled himself, changed. I still remember the first time talking to him, changed his whole thought process, and just started really understanding defense from a different perspective, and seeing the way CJ worked and his thought process of becoming great, how much time he spent in the elite recovery, how much time he came up watching extra film, texting me questions, Coach, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And that's how he learned how to play fast and aggressive. And to be honest with you, I think CJ playing the way CJ did is what made Woody turn to what Woody was in the season last year as well too. Those guys are playing super aggressive, and it was, as Woody says, shiesty season, and those guys are out there making plays on the ball. And once again, football's recess. If you come to it every single day, you get to work. Remember my good friend Ryan Pohl said that to me one time, and he used it for his thought process, and he's doing that now for the Bears as GM. But guys who come to work every single day and the thought process, it's recess, not like something I got to do, but something I love to do. We had Tyreek Hill and Pat Mahomes. Every day was recess for practice. They were smiling, running around, extra reps. Yes, sir, let's go. And once guys really bought into that mindset, those guys become great at the end of the season. So we have a whole room of that, a whole team full of that, and watch what happens.
Where's Kelvin at this point? I think people are sort of waiting for him to make that leap. I know he's had some injuries. I think the light bulb's coming on.
Oh yeah, I do. I know this about him. Like it's not about you going down. It's what you do while you're down. And he had some injuries and some things of that nature. And I know what he did when he was down. He grinded away. He prepared for the moment that he would be back. Now he's over 300 pounds. All right. And now he knows our scheme inside and out, because while he was over there, when he wasn't doing rehab or working with our trainers during the spring, he was over there helping coach, and he made the most of his opportunity. Some guys lose that. Some guys miss that moment of improvement. Some guys they have a moment of pity, self-pity, and they get down on themselves. And man, this dude is just built different. The way that he thinks, the way that he talks to his teammates. And so I'm looking forward to him carving out a role for himself on his team, because of how consistent he's been in that department too. He's like having another coach. When I ask a question, he's one of the first ones to answer it. And he's been ready. He's been preparing for his moment. And no matter how bumpy the ride has been for him, he stayed buckled up and he stayed laced up, and he's going to be ready to go.
Jordan Kelly's one of the older guys in that room. Has he taken kind of a leadership role, and how has he helped kind of mentor some of the younger guys?
Man, he takes them under his wing, and he's willing to do whatever we ask him to do. He had a really good summer, and last year he's one of the top sack getters in our group, behind Jalen Redmond, and brings a lot of experience to the table. So the young guys naturally look up to him, and he's giving in such a way to where he's never in a rush to get out of there. He'll stay long as he needs to help his brothers. And I'm looking forward to what he's going to bring to the table this year.
Do you feel like this is, I think, third season or so we've had the portal the way it is. Do you think you guys as a staff see ways that you're adjusting to get guys quicker into their roles? I mean, obviously when those guys come in, a lot of them are ready to make instant impact. Have you sort of figured out ways to make it more seamless for those transfers?
Yeah, you simplify things for them, and you make those guys feel welcome. Like Andrea, I could tell when he first got here, he was swimming. Just in a total different world, coming from up north, playing in Michigan, coming out the huddle, no tempo. A lot of run blocking on the perimeter. Here we run a lot, run every play. And me, where I come from, that's pretty much what I've been doing the last 9 years. High tempo, pushing the ball downfield, reps, trying to lead the country in snaps per game. You just simplify this stuff, make those guys feel welcome, and let them know what they can accomplish playing in this system, being around Coach Levy, because he's trying to take care of receivers. So one thing with Coach Levy, you got to gain his trust on and off the field. Be a student to what we're doing, and demonstrate that when it's time to demonstrate it. And our guys have been showing that. So you just make those guys feel welcome when they get in, to make the transition smooth as possible.
When a guy is in the portal that you're looking at, is there anything specific that you look for, characteristics? I mean, obviously you want to get the best talent, but are there some other things that, when it comes to a transfer guy coming in, that you really want to make sure they've got character-wise, personality-wise?
Of course, character, personality, but I look for mental tough. I just look for toughness. Thick-skinned guys that can handle me coaching Monday through Friday, and then they can take it out on the opponent Saturday night. That's what I look for. I don't get caught up in a track guy that can run a 10-1. I want to know if he can handle the trenches. If he can handle me out there. Is he a football field running track? Those kind of guys I like to look for instead of track guys playing football. Sometimes you can find good guys, but I like football guys that run track. But for the most part, it's mindset, mental toughness, thick-skinned guys.
Is that the kind of guy Brennan is?
Yes, he is. He's hungry. Feel like he have a lot to prove. And then, in me, I try to bring it out of him and just give him that vibe that I'm watching you every step of on you tough. You got to show me. I know what you was doing out of high school. I know where you came from. You went down to Austin, and from where I was raised at, we all kind of view Austin a certain way. So you got to show me you thick-skinned. So he's been doing that. We've been putting a lot of pressure on him. He's been responding. I'm just looking forward to him getting loose, man. And it's just settling down and getting comfortable with what we're doing here at Oklahoma. So this month of August is huge for him.
How much fun can you have with a guy like Gavin Freeman? Be versatile with him.
Man, you can be so creative with him. He allows you to open up that playbook. You can play fast for him. Like I said, running back, outside receiver, inside receiver, tough kid, man. He just have that mindset and that swagger. He just feel like he can win every rep. I don't care if it's run blocking, option routes, or working over the middle, trying to get open. He just feel like he can win every rep. Creative, explosive guy, man. That's going to be very successful here at the University of Oklahoma.
And forgive me if you've already touched on this, but when you've got to
talk about him off the field, you say when he walks off the field, he's as active off the field with his charitable things.
Yeah, he's just like Superman. He is. He's married now to Miss Caroline, and sweet lady she is, and happy for him. And he's got a great family, and he's always putting other people first. That kid, selfish is the antithesis of that young man. He's always thinking about the team. He's always thinking about the room. He's always thinking about, we'll be walking out to practice and say, "Hey, coach, you good? You need anything?" And he's not saying it as a suck up or as, he's genuinely asking, "You good?" And I'm good. You know your plays, you good? And you ready for today? It's a hot one out here. And but that's just who he is. Just special.
You mentioned rising to the occasion. Reggie's a guy who had a lot of snaps last season, but this time around there's a lot more competition at that position. Just what have you seen out of him in terms of embracing that, having to battle for those reps?
Yeah, it's good. Competition is good. It makes everyone better, and the same thing for Reggie. I think all the guys in my room in particular recognize that we're at a different place this year than we were last year. As far as personnel, as far as toughness, as far as physicality, their bodies look different. Shout out Schmitty. As far as knowledge of the playbook, and more understanding of how we do what we do. And Reggie is no different than everybody else as far as knowing, like, man, I gotta perform. It's not what I did yesterday, it's what I did today. We don't have any starters going into this fall camp. Everybody's got to go prove it, and Oklahoma's got to go prove it. Miguel Chavis has to go prove it. And that's every day, whether you're 6 or 7 or 15-0, you got to go prove it. And we're trying to be a program that's going to last for a long time. And I want to have the best defensive end room in the country, and I mean that. That's my desire. I want to have that here at Oklahoma. Well, you don't get that by being complacent, and you don't get it by being destroyed. We can look at 6 and 7 last year, or we didn't get to the quarterback as much as I would like us to, or the guys would like us to, and you say, well, that's not who we are. Well, you just get better. So Reggie is a guy very similar to Ethan. It epitomizes everything that's great about Oklahoma. I think he took advantage of our sole mission, micro internships and service trips. He was like in Rio de Janeiro one month, and the next month he was in South Africa. It's just like, this is special, man. It's a great young man, and so we're really, really blessed to have him.
A new NIL deal? South Africa.
Say it again.
NIL deal?
No, sole mission.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay, I got you.
Sorry. I just wanted to ask you about getting off the field on 3rd down and 4th down. Coach Roof was talking about that a little bit. Your perspective on that, your guys, and how important it is to, whether it's creating pressure or getting his ball out or whatever.
Yeah, man. As a former defensive lineman and as a person that's been in this defense now going on 7 years with Coach Venables, it is built around defensive linemen setting the tone, setting the edge, and creating a wall and creating havoc on the quarterback and the backfield. If you're going to be a multiple aggressive defense, your defensive linemen have to play well. You got to coach them well, and so that's we've talked about that all offseason amongst a host of other things. Been a lot to talk about and a lot to get better on. But one of those was getting off the field on 3rd down, 4th down. But you got to be great on P and 10. If you're going to be great on 3rd down, man, 3rd and 8, it's a heck of a lot easier than 3rd and 1. So it's not just 3rd down, it's what you do on 1st and 2nd down. It's playing efficient ball, it's playing, getting the call, what's my pre-snap process, and having a really, really good 1st down, and then having a good 2nd down, and then you can get your hand cocked back and let it fly on 3rd down.